Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me Vulcan. Today I have for you Jarl Conrad versus TheKnifeGuy in game 1 out of 2 games in the European Steel Division League Code A. Today we are going to be seeing K, and on the allied side is the 15th Infantry Scots under command of Jarl Conrad, and on the Axis side TheKnifeGuy is going to be playing the 2nd Panzer. So two very interesting divisions with a lot to talk about, but just wanted to mention that although it is Code A and not Code S today, both of these players of course very good. TheKnifeGuy came second to VulcanHDGaming in one of the tournaments recently, so a very, very good player. But either way, these divisions, 15th Infantry Scots, works quite well on K. It does have the Churchill 5s, and those can engage at 1,200 meter range and do a lot of damage early on. There's also, of course, the Churchills moving into Phase B that can be very effective with their 15 front armour, as well as the AVRE actually in Phase A that the 2nd Panzer may struggle to deal with. However, the 2nd Panzer does have Panzer IVs, and Panzer IVs are actually really good against sort of armour like the Churchills and the AVREs, especially the AVRE in the early game, because they have enough armour that they don't get too badly affected by the main gun of the AVRE, and the AVRE's got to be at 600 meter range to engage, and at 600 meters the Panzer IV has 18 AP versus a AVRE, so they can actually penetrate and kill them, and most people don't realize that. So pushing an AVRE into combat where there's a Panzer IV can be quite dangerous. And that's something that TheKnifeGuy might try and take advantage with his own Panzer IVs in this game. But regardless, the AVREs can still be very, very useful for the town engagement, alongside plenty of rifles and so on. Let's have a look at what's actually going down though. So on this top side here we have a 253 with command infantry. Further down it's going to be a unit of Sturm Pioneers and a couple of units of Panzer Grenadiers. Even further down it's going to be another Speertrupp in the 251. And we have the Panzer Grenadiers there in the 251-1, and then we have a 258, a Panzer 4H, and an SBW 223 following up. So that's going to provide command to the Panzer IV, make it 2 stars in Phase A, which is extremely strong and something that I'm sure TheKnifeGuy will try and take advantage of. Over on the side of Jarl Conrad, there is going to be an AVRE brought in at the start of the game that's going to be accompanying 2 units of rifles, command infantry, and the Vickers HMG there. There's going to be some recon for that very top side. AVRE has just been removed. I think it's been replaced by a Churchill 5 for the airfield alongside a 2-star AT gun, as well as a command infantry. A couple of rifles in here as well, actually 4 rifle squads, and that recon squad. So this is quite a nasty combination. These 6-pounders can be very, very strong with the 15th Infantry Scots in Phase A, because you can make them 3-star and they don't miss very often. So this Panzer IV will have to be careful, so will the 258. Recon's going to be very important for the TheKnifeGuy on the bottom side of this map so that he can spot those 6-pounders and play around them, because if he does not, then he could be punished quite hard through Phase A and B. Because in Phase B, the only Panther that the 2nd Panzer has is the Aufklärer Panther D, and that takes at least 2 minutes to bring in with the Phase B income. So it's something that Jarl Conrad doesn't necessarily have to worry about until mid-Phase B, when he could already be bringing in like a Churchill 7, and the Churchill 7 works actually pretty damn well against Panzer IVs. So that's another thing that the TheKnifeGuy will have to worry about moving into the mid-game if his Panzer IVs die in the early game. If they don't die in the early game and his Panzer IVs make quite a bit of ground, then he can probably force some closer range engagements with any future Churchills that arrive, and that does definitely work in his favour due to the veterancy of the Panzer IVs. So we see a few of these units, off they go. Looks like Jarl Conrad accidentally unloaded a unit early there. Probably just did the shift unload and didn't realise he hadn't given that rifle unit an order, and therefore it's going to have to run to the front line. That's going to be a very lonely squad for a while. Churchill 5 moving towards his airfield though is a very smart choice, as a lot of the units that the TheKnifeGuy have don't have the 1,200 meter range. There could of course be a Pack 40 that he might have to deal with, but as we can see that TheKnifeGuy has not chosen that, and therefore Jarl Conrad will not have to play around it. But against these 1000 meter range units, the Churchill 5 can do pretty well. It can actually hold the Panzer 4 at bay just by sort of pinning it along the way. Looks like only one Bren group though on this bottom side is going to be holding the line here, and if the TheKnifeGuy saw that that was just a Bren group unloading there before it went into the bushes, that could be a problem. I'm surprised to see this 6-pounder has actually gone to the middle of the map. Does manage to take out a half-track straight away though. Helps pin down those Panzer Grenadiers, which may then be ran down by the rifles. But on the bottom side, Bren group not lasting too long. Panzer Grenadiers have been unloaded. This half-track is going to be running those down, and the Honey is now on its way. The Honey Stuart, pretty good response to this aggression from the TheKnifeGuy, because as long as this Churchill 5 keeps the Panzer 4 at range, the Honey should be able to take out the half-track and the 258. So smart choice for sure. Command carrier is going to surrender the Panzer Grenadiers in the middle, so a little bit of a trade of infantry here and there, and you can see it staying at 50-50 due to the positioning of troops on the map. But engagement continues on the top side here. Panzer Grenadier is going to be trying to take on the Vickers HMG. We can see that the 253 does take out one of the half-tracks, but the 6-pounder in the town takes out one of the TheKnifeGuys. Churchill 5 is just going to continue to fire away. Currently has the 258 pinned. There's a good chance that the Churchill 5 can actually get a kill there because it's an open top vehicle, and the relatively low armor does mean that the HE will eventually get a kill. But either way, we'll have to wait and see. 6-pounder does take out the 253 on the top side. 250-10 now on the way to assist. That's bringing along a Panzerschreck. I'm assuming that the TheKnifeGuy will be expecting some sort of Honey or maybe an ABRE on the top side to assist in the push against this infantry. But nice movement here from the Sturm Pioneers, getting up close and personal with these rifles. Going to be using their smoke to cover them as they move up, but do take a lot of damage from this Vickers HMG. Honestly, this Vickers HMG is in a really, really good spot. Although they only have 600 meter range, if they can get on target, they can be pretty damn decent. So you can see that coming to effect there. The Honey has arrived on the bottom side, has a chance to clean up this half-track. Panzer Grenadier is currently being chewed up by the Churchill 5. Surprised that Honey missed at that range, but it doesn't have any veterancy, so not the biggest surprise. Rifles now, they could probably try and take on these Sturm Pioneers, honestly. But there is obviously a chance there that the rifles do get pinned on the half-track of the TheKnifeGuys does go down, and the TheKnifeGuy's sort of preservation of units so far hasn't been fantastic, but Panzerschreck going to be getting one back there onto one of the Bren carriers. It does lose the Panzerschreck. You can see just how quickly the Vickers HMG did clean that up. Now more rifles are on the way here from Jarl Conrad, and having that many may allow the Sturm Pioneers to be overrun in that forest, and meanwhile Jarl Conrad is pushing back hard on this bottom side, now putting pressure onto the 258, and like I mentioned, with the Churchill 5 able to keep the Panzer 4 at bay, the Honey can do work on the bottom side. As you can see, however, the track wheels have been damaged of the Churchill 5, so it looks like the Panzer 4 did go for a little attack there. 6-pounder rolling down from the top side did make the TheKnifeGuy have to think twice. But with the 258 getting involved, going to be fire positioning just short of the 6-pounder. Try and pin that and then take it out. Panzer Grenadier is going to be continued to be pinned here. The Honey doesn't have to be too careful around these Panzer Grenadiers due to them not having a Panzerfaust. Honey's going to look for the half-track kill. That would be very nice, and the TheKnifeGuy is currently looking pretty light on the ground. This is generally something you see when a lot of these half-tracks do go down very easily, because as the 2nd Panzer you only have 75 income per minute, and losing half-tracks that cost like 20 points each, it does add up. Sturm Pioneers eventually go down, not too many losses for Jarl Conrad in the process, which is nice for him. 6-pounder is going to get shot onto the 250-10. It does have 2-star veterancy, so there's a very good chance there's going to be a kill here on this top side, unless the 250-10 can get out of line of sight, and it does. Honey did manage to clean up the half-track on the bottom side, but is now getting pretty aggressive down here. Needs to be careful, though, of the Panzer 4. Panzer 4 is within the 1,000 meter range of the Honey, so we'll need to be wary of that. 6-pounder has backed off behind the hangar in the mid. Nice movement there from the AT gun by Jarl Conrad. Honey is now putting pressure on the top side, has been brought in, but the Panzer is dead, and so no real units that can take care of this Honey. There is of course a 250-10, and with the 3-star veterancy it can be very effective at this range, but the Honey's going to do the job. The 1-star veterancy is enough. Panzer Grenadiers are dead, Panzergrenführer is the only thing left standing, and the Knife Guy is in trouble at the moment, definitely under a lot of pressure. Panzer 2C is going to be coming in with the off-map now on that top side, and that can definitely help hold back some of the infantry that Jarl Conrad will try and push forwards, and so far this has been a very interesting battle indeed. 250-10 now engaging the Honey. Once again, the high veterancy of these 250-10s is quite a threat to the Honeys, so although this 250-10 doesn't have much of a chance of penetrating a Honey at max range, it can of course pin it down if it continues to get the hits. 6-pounder comes out from around the corner there, gets a lovely shot onto the 258, and taking that out does allow him to now focus on the 223. If he can find a kill on that, he removes the veterancy from the Panzer IV, which will be very nice indeed. Allows them for more aggression from the Churchill 5. And the Honey, well, that's still going. Looks like the 6-pounder is continuing to move up. 258 going to be using the fire position just short of the 6-pounder again. Jarl Conrad going to be backing off. Really smart use of this 6-pounder by Jarl Conrad, regardless of the fact that the Knife Guy is microing these 258s very well. He's just keeping them out of the way of that fire position. So a +1 now for Jarl Conrad. He's done pretty well so far to get to this point. +2 in his favour. Going to be looking to kill off the Panzer 2C, maybe even the 250-10. But the 250-10 at this range definitely has a good chance of penetration. Panzerstreck's going to get into range as well. 250-10 does the job though. 2-star veterancy is enough this time, and the Honey goes down. The Honey's also being forced back on the bottom. The 223 only gets weapon jammed in the end, which isn't really too much of a problem. As long as it's providing the command to the Panzer IV, it's doing its job. So that's good for the Knife Guy. He's managing to sort of stabilise on this bottom side, and has brought in just enough reinforcements for the top side to do the job. Honey does take out the 250-10 though, and the Knife Guy once again loses another unit. Panzerstreck is sitting in the open. Rifles and scouts are going to be trying to run those down. New unit on the way though. It's going to be another Panzer Grenadier trying to save the day. If it can unload into one of these buildings, can probably open up with the machine guns onto the rifles, but going to get distracted by these rifles. They're on an attack move command, so that can be a little bit of a problem. It looks like the 6-pounder, it's under fire from off-map at the moment from the Panzer II. Looks like the Knife Guy is focusing on taking out these 6-pounders, as they are the main thing holding back his heavier armoured pieces. One on the airfield does get pinned by the 258 eventually. Honey now coming back for another aggressive push. Honey's pushed on the top side once again. That's now hitting the Panzer 2C. Panzerstreck has died up here, so that's no longer a threat for the Honey, which is why the Honey has managed to get into that position. But there's not too much really to kill this half-track. 6-pounder's really got to do the job here, and having got out of the way of the off-map is going to do the job. So that cleans that up. +2 now for Jarl Conrad in a pretty damn nice position. Churchill 5 though going to be coming under fire from the Panzer IV, and within the 1000 meter range, this is an engagement that definitely favours the Panzer IV, and it's only a matter of time until that Panzer IV hits and penetrates the Churchill 5. So Jarl Conrad's got to be very careful there. SPW 223 coming back towards the Panzer IV with its veterancy once again. Speed troop going to be arriving on the middle of the airfield, and you can see that off map now going to be choosing the other 6-pounder, the 3-star 6-pounder here, as its next target. Looks like it took a shot at the 251 there, but actually ended up missing. Honey's now trying to engage the Panzer IV. Probably not the best engagement in the world. Something I would definitely try and avoid from Jarl Conrad, but likely focusing on his topside micro at the moment, getting a lot of these infantry squads moving forwards. So the 6-pounder might end up dodging this off map. It really does depend where the first few shots land, because it's near the edge. So if the off map starts coming down, starts pinning these rifles for example, like that, then Jarl Conrad might be smart enough to keep it going. And if that's the case, then he may avoid it being pinned. But nope, the off map's going to hit the mark, and the 2-star and potentially 3-star 6-pounder is now dead. 258 takes out the 6-pounder on the airfield, and just like that, both of the 6-pounders are gone. 6-pounder still alive in the town, but that's not going to be doing too much for a while, and the Panzer IV-H has turned up to push back this honey in the meantime. +2 still for Jarl Conrad, but a couple of severe losses there with those AT guns does definitely remove a lot of the pressure he had on the bottom side against things like this honey and also the Churchill 5. But Churchill 7 is on the way. However, that looks to be heading to the top side. I would very much like that actually to be heading to the airfield right now, as it's something that can definitely take on Panzer IVs very easily and support the advance of infantry across the open, which is something that I think he could take advantage of quite a lot right now, since his position in the town is already pretty strong and he can continue to reinforce this with infantry if he needs to. But either way, Panzer Grenadiers are in a pretty tough spot now, and they have actually ended up pinning the Vickers HMG with the help of the Panzer IV. Do now get pinned themselves, which is going to force them to fall back, but the Vickers HMG goes down. Rifle's going to be trying to engage. Not going to be able to do too much though. One problem with the 15th Infantry Scots is the only infantry they have with AT is their rifle leader, and also Piat dedicated squads. Other than that, they are relying solely on AT guns, and that can get pretty annoying when it comes to dealing with a lot of half-tracks. He didn't have too much trouble with it in the early game, but at this point it's becoming a problem because a lot of his infantry is dying. Sturm Grenadiers aren't going to be pinned down in the open here, most likely by these scouts. These scouts are actually doing quite a decent job against the Sturm Grenadiers, even though these have 15 HE at 200 meter range. But with the scouts actually jumping out the building, that's a terrible mistake there, I feel, from Jarl Conrad. He may as well have just let them die in the face of the Panzer IV, because then at least he may have done more damage or even pinned the Sturm Grenadiers. But in this case he has not. Jarl Conrad has actually chosen to bring in a 17-pounder for the airfield, and this might just get the job done. But with a Vesper invested upon by the Knife Guy, it's only a matter of time until any AT guns that do show themselves get RT'd. And so here we go, 17-pounder gonna unload. It is 2 stars. Dingo is getting close enough to make that 3-star. If that doesn't one-shot something, I'd be very surprised. And it does not. It actually misses. Has a second shot though. Is going to find it. Transmission damage. We'll want to find the kill, but that might start firing at other things. Nope, going to take out the Panzer IV. Good micro there from Jarl Conrad to make sure that happens, because sometimes what can happen is if your AT gun attacks a unit and it starts falling back, it will target a different unit automatically. But in this case, it's just knocking down dominoes right now. Panzer IV goes down 258, half track. Fantastic investment in this 17-pounder, already paid off, even with the Vesper replying almost instantly. I would absolutely love this Churchill 7 though to be coming to the airfield. I really think this is a mistake heading this to the top side, especially with the superior infantry that the Knife Guy can deploy in Phase B. With 150 points per minute, you can bring in 3 units of Sturm Grenadiers per minute, and that can be extremely strong, especially in a town environment where the engagement ranges can vary quite a lot from the 200 to 100 meter range. And therefore the Sturm Grenadiers always have an advantage in this sort of terrain. In a forest, 100 meter range engagement is ideal, but in a town, if you can have a unit that is fantastic at 200 meter range, that's pretty much perfect. And that's why, like, Fallschirmjägers, for example, excel so much more in towns than they do in forest areas, because they can actually use their machine guns in towns, or at least they will more often. So the Churchill 5 here, that's going to be engaging Sturm Grenadiers. Jarl Conrad has brought in another Churchill 7, so that's kind of solving the issue of not having a Churchill 7 cover the open. But it does have to find the kills onto this half-track and the Panzer II in order to allow more infantry to continue the push, and infantry is now coming in. Churchill 7 does take out one of the half-tracks here, preventing some of the Sturm Grenadiers moving forwards, but they've smoked themselves off, so I don't expect them to fall back. They will just recover and then probably try to continue towards the town. Does need to be careful though, because these Sturm Grenadiers are actually in a pretty nasty spot. They could smoke themselves, come across and take out these rifles, and then try and engage the Churchill 7, which might be something that the Knife Guy tries to do. Exactly what he tries to do, as you can see the command orders given there. Tripolston is going to be targeted on the top side by the Vesper. The Vesper's actually already taken out one Tripolston and the 17-pounder, so this has been a sound investment so far and has done a great job. Vesper now going to be engaging the Churchill 7, just going to try and dislodge that in the face of the Sturmgrenadiers. Sturmgrenadiers smoking themselves up once again. Down here as well. Just really, really good micro from the Knife Guy. But Jarl Conrad maintaining the lead. It is still a +1 in Jarl Conrad's favour. Churchill 7 does take out the Panzer 2. And now we see the rifle Sturmgrenadier engagement. Sturmgrenadiers, it looks like they might just come out on top. Yep, they surrender the rifles. They get the Panzerfaust into the back of the Churchill 7. That is actually pretty devastating for Jarl Conrad. If the Sturmgrenadiers recover now and get another Panzerfaust shot off, then this is very dead. Unless it misses, of course. Oh my, it's not very often you see a Panzerfaust at that range miss. But we certainly did today. Bren Group going to be coming in to try and save the day. We've also got another unit of infantry coming in to surrender the Sturmgrenadiers. And wow, what a save so far. But with Ramsch right round the corner, it might not last too long. Now with the Jagdpanzer on the field as well. That's going to be able to try and control these engagements at range, although unlikely to kill the Churchill 7 unless it finds a side shot. So here comes Ramsch. Going to be getting that pretty much point blank shot right into the face of the Churchill 7. Great job there. Rifles now advancing towards the Sturmgrenadier. Tripolston coming under fire once again from the Vesper. Let's see if the Knife Guy can bring this back. We are of course in phase B, and he's brought in the Jagdpanzer. He's now relying on these Panzer IVs as well. And I mentioned how at close range they can kill these Churchill 7s very easily. And in this case, showed it there. Of course, the Churchill 7 was already kind of disabled, so not too much of a problem. But Sturmgrenadiers absolutely ripped to shreds some of the rifles on the top side, just instantly surrendered those. Nice job by the Sturmgrenadiers, just showing how strong they can be. Now we've got some command infantry on the way. Hope that's not a sign of the Knife Guy running out of infantry availability, because that's not really a place he wants to be with 2 minutes left. Moving into phase C. He needs the infantry to continue to push forwards, especially if he's going to think about regaining ground in the town area. And since the 15th Infantry never really struggles with having enough infantry, that's something that you've got to be wary of. Now the Jagdpanzer, that's going to be finding and shooting at the Churchill 7 again. This will be quite literally a never-ending engagement, because at the 1,000 meter range, the Churchill 7 can't penetrate a Jagdpanzer. And at the 1,200 meter range, I mean, at this range, 1,000 meters, the Jagdpanzer has 14 AP versus the 15 front armor. So yeah, neither can penetrate each other. They're just going to be poking each other and maybe doing a bit of morale damage here and there. Either way, these Panzer IVs are quite a nuisance for Jarl Conrad right now. I mentioned the lack of sort of AT infantry, and that's something that's really going to take effect in these town engagements very shortly. 17 Pounder's really got a lot of work to do here, and if it gets spotted and started to be fired upon by the Vesper, then that will be a problem. But looks like the Knife Guy's going to keep this online. He's got some supply on the way. Pack 40 has now been brought onto the field, and this is actually a really good response to the 17 Pounder. If Jarl Conrad wants to use a 17 Pounder to engage in the open against the Knife Guy's tanks, then a Pack 40 is perfect, because a Pack 40 has the HE to engage the 17 Pounder from range without the 17 Pounder being able to fire back and actually able to get the kill. But the Vesper will likely be the one to do the job here as soon as it gets reloaded. Jagdpanzer actually ended up having a good time against his Churchill 7 at the moment, forcing that to fall back. Also under fire from the Panzer 4 though, and as you can see there is an engine stall. This is a good opportunity here for the Knife Guy to find a kill. It is within about 900 meter range, so we're looking at about 15 AP, so not a huge chance for this Panzer IV to actually penetrate unless the Knife Guy gets closer up. And as we can see, some returning Sturmgrenadiers and Panzer Grenadiers right now. Jagdpanzer and Panzer IV are just going to continue knocking on this Churchill 7, trying to create more and more criticals, and that's one way that the Panzer IV might be able to make some ground there. But on this bottom side, Assault Pioneers are getting the better of the Sturmgrenadiers, which isn't something you see very often, but with the help of the Churchill 5, nothing new. 17 Pounder looking for kills onto some of these vehicles on the bottom side, but now under fire from the Vesper, so it is going to be forced to back off. 25 pounder now going to be trying to take on the Pak 40 as that moves forwards as well. And I think the Knife Guy here is really going to start getting aggressive. He really needs to. His rifle leader there is 1 Piat left. If that can save the Churchill 7, it would be an absolute hero. But is it going to happen? I'm not entirely sure. Panzer IV-H has not been reacted to here, and the Panzer IV does get the kill. Rifle leader could have jumped forwards here surely and tried to go for this building. That would have forced the Panzer IV back in the meantime, and maybe just a missed opportunity there from Jarl Conrad. Maybe thought that his Piats were already used. Either way, more infantry coming in. The Knife Guy has plenty more where that came from now that we've moved into Phase C, and accompanied by Panzer IVs. That could be very bad for Jarl Conrad on this top side. However, Jarl Conrad at the moment holding quite strong, and it seems as though we're down a Panzer IV. However, I believe that's because this Panzer IV moved down to the mid, and it does end up taking out the Dingo, which is providing extra veterancy to the 17 pounder and Churchill 5. So good job there. Pak 40 is going to be forced to fall back. Sturm Grenadiers do end up smoking themselves off. If they can recover their morale, they might be able to take on the Assault Pioneers at range, because the Assault Pioneers only have 1 HE on their Lee Enfield. So that might be something they can take advantage of, or at least that one man can try and take advantage of against 3 men. But since we are well into Phase C now, Panther A is on the field, and this is going to be very, very difficult for Jarl Conrad to deal with, especially in an open range environment like this. He's going to have to try and find a 17 pounder ambush that really works out, because otherwise the Panther could completely take over this entire area. And at the moment, with the Jagdpanzer IV firing at the Churchill 5, it's unlucky not to be hitting there. This has been a very, very interesting engagement so far. Jarl Conrad making a lot of ground early on, still ticking the +1 as well, counting towards 1,250 points. But the Knife Guy is almost prepped here to make a push back, and the 17 pounder did just reveal itself to the 223. That's something that the Knife Guy will be well aware of. I would not be surprised to see the Vesper targeting those 17 pounder as soon as they are seen, just like he is doing here, which will now allow the Panzer IV to move that way and engage, which is what the Knife Guy is going to try and do now. Challenger has been brought onto the airfield. That is going to be trying to deal with the Jagdpanzer IV and the Panzer IV, but will not be able to stand up to the Panther A very well, since it will only have 2 more AP than the armor of the Panther A, leading to about a 20% hit or kill chance basically, and that is not very much. And this Panzer IV in the meantime making a lot of ground. Sturm Grenadiers are going to be putting some rifles here, and with the fire coming in onto these rifles as well, ground is being lost from the side of Jarl Conrad. And the Knife Guy trying to make a comeback. The rifle leader misses its Piat. What else did we expect? Is it going to get a second shot? I'm not entirely sure it will. However, Panzer IV does take out the Stuart and has not started firing at the rifles again. Rifle leader, I don't think it's going to get the chance. Panzer IV Ramsch is out of there. He is gone. 17 pounder. What has that got line of sight onto? Probably this Panzer IV, right? Yep, going to get the weapon jam in there, but Ramsch coming around the corner will probably mess things up for the 17 pounder. 17 pounder finds the kill though. 1 health AT guns are the deadliest. Not quite for Ramsch though, as it cleans it up nicely. Sturm Grenadier is going to be moving it into this hangar complex now. Doesn't look like it needs to, with the Vesper taking out those rifles. And with the rifle leader dying in the hangars in the middle, it's now a +1 for the Knife Guy. He's set to completely take over the open down here. Pak 40 has found its way into range of the Churchill 5, and the Churchill 5 must have got internal fragmented at some point, lost all of its 47 shots. However, might have just used them all up, because it has been around since the start of the game. Oh, one thing that has happened here though is the Sherman 2, I believe, must have got a clean shot there onto Ramsch, and that is something that you don't see very often. A unvetted Sherman 2 taking out a Panzer IV at what was roughly a 600-700 meter range. So good kill there for Jarl Conrad. Will help him hold back some of this aggression that the Knife Guy is throwing his way. These Sherman 2s though, they are really good value for money, 120 point Stuarts, and they have all the same armaments as a normal Stuart, 5 HE on the main gun, 30 cals, 50 cal. It's very, very nice unit to support infantry in this sort of environment, and something that Jarl Conrad is looking to take advantage of to control this top side of the map. Because the longer he can delay this, the more likely he is to win. And that is something that is looking quite likely, even with the Knife Guy on a +1. The Knife Guy is going to need at least a +2 right now to find that victory. But is still getting quite aggressive with his half-tracks. You can see the 251 there, going to be trying to get further up with the spade through, but the half-track behind it does get blown to smithereens. Double Vesper now on the field. If a 17-pounder is spotted at this point, it's going to come under a hell of a lot of fire. You can see one has just been unloaded in the face of this 251. Spade through have spotted that. I'm sure that's going to be the next target almost immediately. And it certainly is. Panther A is going to continue to try and make ground. Pack 40 is still wheeling its way forwards. There is potential yet for the Knife Guy to get himself into a position with 13 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock of bringing back this game. So I would say each person is still very much in this one. New infantry arriving on the side of the Knife Guy. I guess one thing that may be a problem is in the late game, the infantry availability of the Knife Guy may falter in comparison to Jarl Conrad, and that may make it very difficult to break through the town here. Sherman 2 does go down on the bottom side. Actually realise that this is a Hummel, not a Vesper. So the Hummel joining the Vesper there. And the Hummel's great because it's got 2-star veterancy, very accurate, high HE power shots, cleans up these 17-pounders very quickly indeed. So Sturm Grenadiers trying to make room in this town again. Looks like these Panzer Grenadiers, however, did come under fire, got smoked off by the Sturm Grenadiers. The Sherman 2 is providing a lot of problems, but maybe the Sturm Grenadier can sneak around these infantry and get a shot in, but unlikely with the rifle leader there. 2-star veterancy, gonna do the job. Again, up here, 2-star veterancy rifle leader at the 100-meter range should be able to do quite a lot of damage. But it really depends if that is actually the case. Yeah, you can see them starting to engage the Panzergrens there. But this airfield area is completely falling apart. You can see actually the Sturm Grenadiers, they are making ground through these hangars. Jagdpanzer and the Panther A now pushing on to the Challenger and the Churchill 5. The Challenger really doesn't have a chance against the Panther A, especially if it's going to come under fire from artillery before the engagement. Now a +2 for the Knife Guy is actually going to give the victory to the Knife Guy in the 11 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. And although Jarl Conrad has a pretty damn strong position still in this town with a sort of limited amount of infantry on the side of the Knife Guy, this push across the airfield may make all the difference unless the Typhoon AT can get a kill, which it does not. However, pinning the Panther A does give a potential chance for the Challenger, but that's going to come under fire from both the Jagdpanzer 4 and the Pack 40, and the Challenger goes down. That must have been Jarl Conrad's last chance to really control this aggression on the bottom side, and with the Panzer Grenadier also here and cleaning up the Assault Pioneers, that's going to give over more territory to the Knife Guy, and we're going to be looking at a +3 soon if Jarl Conrad is not too careful. And I think already we've seen quite a lot of the 17-pounders. He does have a lot of the high veterancy ones, so a lack of availability that may be taken advantage of here now by the Knife Guy after he has killed many of them with his artillery. You can see the Sherman 2 though, still cleaning up at close range, definitely does a lot of damage to infantry. Something that Jarl Conrad may be able to do is try and press on this top side and kill off some of this infantry. And if he does, might find himself some ground back. Pushing back the Knife Guy to a +1 might just be enough. But at the moment, with the aggression continuing on the bottom side and just a Dingo and a Bedford supply, the only units in the way, and that's not great. For Jarl Conrad, and as soon as those die, well, he's in trouble. Challenger is trying to get into a decent position, but will struggle against the Jagdpanzer, which is so damn armoured. It's only got 3 shots left though, so this Jagdpanzer could actually run out of ammo before it kills the Challenger, and that would be very interesting to watch indeed. But it's going to get the second hit on target there, finds a bounce onto the Challenger. Panzer 4-8 was rushing in that direction, and the last shot from the Jagdpanzer 4 finds the kill onto the Challenger. Both the Bedford Supply and Dingo are running for their lives, probably not going to get away. And well, Jarl Conrad's position on this top side is also faltering as the Panzer IV-H has completely outflanked. This 25-pounder's got some work to do. 25-pounder can be used to kill a Panzer IV if it fires quick enough, but I don't think Jarl Conrad has given it the order. And the 25-pounder goes down. +3 now for the Knife Guy. Dingo dies on the bottom side. Bedford supply is taken care of. It's only a matter of time until his reinforcements are cut off, and Jarl Conrad is going to surrender. What an absolutely awesome game. After 30 minutes and 56 seconds, the Knife Guy is going to take it after what looked like a victory for Jarl Conrad. That was absolutely awesome. Very much enjoyed that replay. Really, really good job by Jarl Conrad in the early game to get a lot of significant kills, clean up a lot of half-tracks, make a lot of aggression, and get all the way through that town. But I think as soon as he tried to continue to push past the town, he was sort of stopped by just enough units from the Knife Guy. He held on just enough. It was so close to the Knife Guy being completely broken and Jarl Conrad sealing the deal. But in the end, the Knife Guy stuck around. Very, very smart to do so. Brought in a Panther array that the 15th can really not deal with, especially if there is significant artillery on the enemy's side. And you could see the 17-pounders weren't really a big factor. There was one that came in on the airfield and absolutely cleaned house. But after that, it seemed as though the Knife Guy kept tabs on those 17-pounders and made sure that they didn't do the same again. So just really nice play from both guys. The Knife Guy ending up with the positive kill death, 3,020 kills to 2,005 losses. In terms of kills and losses, 6-pounder in the early game, I mentioned this 6-pounder, the 3-star 6-pounder can be very strong, and it certainly did the job. It was microed very well around these 258s. Jarl Conrad didn't let it automatically move into the fire position commands that the Knife Guy was setting, and that just made it really awkward for the Knife Guy to kill. Like, did the perfect thing of whenever somebody tries to fire position just ahead of your AT gun, just move them back slightly. It's really, really frustrating because then the other player has to constantly just do it a little bit short and keep an eye on the AT gun, because if the AT gun, for whatever reason, moves forward slightly into range, then you've got a 3-star AT gun taking on your 1-star 258, and that's going to land in the 6-pounder's favour. 2-star 6-pounder also did a good job of taking out Panzer IV-H there. Churchill 5 in the early game was pretty good for just holding back a lot of units, found some kills later on. Honeys were a really good sort of reply to some of the aggression of the mechanised units that the Knife Guy was using in the early game. Here's the 17-pounder that came in, popped the Panzer IV, killed the 258, killed those 2 half-tracks, all in quick succession. Then unfortunately died to the Vesper that the Knife Guy had brought in, and he never let it happen again. Although this 17-pounder did kill the Befehl Panzer IV on the top side, there wasn't really anything more significant than that. Sherman 2 did manage to one-shot Ramsch, which was quite something. Ramsch never seems to do very well, and in this one, continuing the trend. In terms of the Knife Guy, well, in the early game you can see just how much trouble he had. Not many kills from his early game units, and the Befehl, or the Panzer II, that came in, killed one of the Tripolstons in the end. Taking out those Tripolstons was interesting because he never actually brought in any air force to take advantage of that, but either way, got the job done. Vespers taking out the 17-pounder is very, very important. Jagdpanzer on the airfield was a really good choice from the Knife Guy, and I feel like moving from Phase B to C, the Knife Guy knew exactly what he had to do in order to bring back the game, executed it very well with this Panther A in tow. And yeah, just brought in those Sturm Grenadiers that ended up overpowering some of the infantry, but not quite doing enough damage to the overwhelming availability of the 15th Infantry Scots, which meant that the town was held in the end by Jarl Conrad, although did end up getting surrounded, I guess. But yeah, Jarl Conrad made the town very difficult to push through, but it didn't matter when the airfield was completely under control of the Knife Guy. And that is pretty much it. So, fantastic game. Like I mentioned, we do have a second one to look forward to between these two players in the European Steel Division League Code S. Or Code A, sorry, not Code S. Yeah, congratulations to the Knife Guy to bring this one back. A hell of a resilient victory. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.